people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It appears we now know a little bit more about what Delphine Persoon, former WBC lightweight champion turned super featherweight contender Delphine Persoon, is going to be doing in the immediate future through sophisticated and secret technologies. We were able to decipher the forbidden language that the article was originally written in. It appears that Delphine Persoon will step into the ring against South Korean Shin on May 28th. That will be a match between the number 2 and number 3.
It's actually more like number 1 and number 3. Number 1 and number 3 by way of the World Boxing Council.
Delphine Persoon ranks in at number 1. France's own Elham Mekhaled, who Delphine Persoon already beat, she ranks in at number 2, and Shin, she ranks in at number 3 by way of the latest WBC rank standings.
If Delphine Persoon wins, she can compete against the American Alicia Baumgardner, the undisputed world champion.
She can compete against her as her mandatory challenger. If things go wrong, it might be time for a farewell match, but I'm not thinking about that yet, said Delphine Persoon, who is now 38 years old. The fire is still burning, and on May 28th, she again fights an important battle in Torhout in front of her own audience. She will compete against the 28-year-old South Korean Shin.
Looks like this fight is happening in Delphine Persoon's neck of the woods in her native Belgium.
Torhout is a city in Belgium, for those not already aware.
She's going to be fighting Shin there. She will have home field advantage, not that I think Delphine Persoon needs it. Even at 38 years old, she is still one of the most formidable and devastating, dangerous fighters at or around these weights.
She really doesn't appear to have lost a step based on what I've been seeing. The Elham Mekhaled fight, the Ikram Kerwat fight that subsequently followed.
Delphine Persoon is still dangerous.
But what she also is spoken for. If she's fighting Shin next, she's not fighting Alicia Baumgardner, this division's undisputed champion. And if Delphine Persoon is busy and Alicia's old buddy Michaela's busy, she's fighting Christina Linardatu next month.
One is left to wonder, what's Alicia gonna do? Who's Alicia gonna fight? And when are they gonna get her back out there?
She's so busy on her high horse and she just thinks she's the queen. Yeah, she thinks she is.
That's Alicia herself doing her best impression of her old buddy, Michaela Mayer, recent interview that she had.
In reference to Alicia Baumgardner, a potential rematch with her, it seems that Alicia has caught wind of it.
Caught wind of Michaela's recent interview.
She's the girl that beat me, and she's better than me, but I just can't admit that because my ego is so far up my ass, I just can't. And Coach Al said that I beat her. Yeah, I talked all that shit and I couldn't back it up. Like, she was just tagging me with that jab and she was laughing. Like, who is she? Oh, the undisputed queen, that's who she is? Alicia Baumgardner, yeah, say that. And lately, like, I've been having a lot of salt intake because I've just been a salty bitch for this long. And, like, I just need to watch the sodium in my food because I'm just gaining too much weight. Like, I can't even make 130. I, like, struggled so much while she was eating all of fight week. I was so jealous, but I couldn't say anything either.
I think we can all agree on one thing. I think we all would like to see Alicia and Michaela run it back, but the fact of the matter is Michaela is spoken for. She's going to be in action next month, and it appears that Delphine Persoon is going to be in action the month after that. So what is Alicia Baumgardner going to be doing in the in-between time? What does Matchroom have in the itinerary for her?
You've got to get her a keep busy fight.
Somebody to keep her active while Delphine Persoon inches closer to her. So long as Alicia Baumgardner reigns as this division's undisputed champion, a showdown with Delphine Persoon, provided she beats Shin, and I think she's going to.
A fight with Alicia is inexorable.
A rematch with Michaela, that's probably 2 to 3 fights down the line.
Whereas a fight with Delphine, that might just be 1 fight away, so long as Delphine can win her next fight.
Delphine Persoon, who sports a professional record of 47 wins with just 3 losses, no draws, 19 knockouts, having only ever been knocked out once just once, many, many years ago.
It's been like 13 years.
Back in 2010, the rematch that she had with Zelda Tekken, needless to say, Delphine Persoon has rebounded off that loss since then. She's currently on a 3-fight winning streak. 4, really. The fight with Ikram Kurwat was ruled a no contest on the premise that she struck Ikram while Ikram was down.
She knocked her down and then hit her when she was down, so it was ruled a no contest.
She's damn lucky it was ruled a no contest, because it could have just as easily been ruled a disqualification.
She's been keeping a regular schedule of activity. 2 fights in the year of 2021, 2 fights in the year of 2022, 2 fights last year.
She's been active, she's been busy, and she's inching closer towards an Alicia Baumgardner showdown.
Gotta take care of Benavidez Shin first, and I think she can. I think she will.
We will talk more about that fight as the fight date approaches. Look for the ring return of Delphine Persoon in May. Men's super middleweight news ahead of his grudge match with David Benavidez. Caleb Plant says he feels sharper with the quick turnaround, something you don't often see over there on PBC Island. Guys keeping a busy schedule?
Usually what you see are long hiatuses.
Usually. David Benavidez only saw action just once last year in May, whereas Caleb saw action more recently in October.
Both boys only fought once last year, but Caleb was in action more recently.
Going into the Darrell fight, that being a WBC title eliminator, I knew that would put me in line to fight for the interim belt, and I knew winning the interim belt would put me in line to fight for the WBC title. Again, that is just a plan that my team had set in place, and we went with the plan. Plant explained. The fight against Darrell was the first with world-class trainer and BoxingScene.com contributor Stephen Breadman Edwards in his corner. Needless to say, the union produced immediate dividends. Bread is somebody that I have talked to for a long time. There are a handful of people whose boxing opinion I really respect and trust. He has been one of them, Plant told BoxingScene.com, and with Breadman Edwards in his corner, Caleb Plant racked up a knockout of the year candidate.
A highlight reel knockout of his old buddy Anthony Darrell.
In many ways, that was a grudge match, and so is this. So is this upcoming fight with David Benavidez.
Those 2 guys have got a score to settle too.
Just bringing him in, he has great chemistry with my dad and great chemistry altogether with the team. We put in a lot of hard work last camp and then obviously just took a short break, and we are getting back to it and building off of last camp.
This is an important fight for Caleb Plant.
I am in a great spot and in the best shape of my life and ready for March 25th. Plant was out of the ring for 11 months following his first professional loss to Canelo Alvarez in November of 2021.
He's trying to keep the momentum going. It's an important fight for him. It's an equally important fight for David Benavidez, who's got to keep up appearances. If you're going to be dubbed the Mexican Monster, you've got to go out there and look like one.
You want people to believe that you're the best thing smoking at 168 pounds next to Canelo Alvarez. You can't go in there with a guy that Canelo knocked out over a year ago and look anything less than a monster.
You can't.
Even though he is always in the gym, Plant believes that his second training camp with Edwards combined with his quick turnaround will produce another world-class performance against Benavidez. I would be training anyway, so regardless, I would be training and working, but it is true that it's nice to have a quick turnaround and get back in the ring and get back in front of people, explained Plant.
Can he win this fight?
Listen,
look.
If history is any indicator of things to come, Caleb Plant, for the most part, based on what we've seen so far, he's a pure boxer.
Based on what we've seen.
Boxing being at times unpredictable, the theater of the unexpected, at times it is possible that with the right adjustments, Caleb can be more of a boxer-puncher than a pure boxer in his next fight, based on the strategy, based on the game plan.
That is, he can try to be.
Opposite the ring, what he's going to have in front of him is a very statuesque and burly pressure fighter, a volume puncher.
Time and time again we talk about it here on the channel, and time again under the hot lights we see what happens to pure boxers at the hands of pressure fighters. More often than not, pressure busts pipes and pressure fighters bust up pure boxers.
Think Shavkat Rakhimov versus Alpha Barrett. Think Roman Villa versus Rashidi Ellis.
That dynamic.
You got one guy that wants to go in there looking for a boxing match, fighting at a controlled pace, fighting from a safe space, safe distance.
That's the pure boxer.
Economic and completely defensively minded. That's the pure boxer. And then you have the pressure fighter, the guy that's looking to march forward and just let him go.
The volume guy, the combination guy, the aggressive guy, the guy that's going to stay with you and stay on top of you the entirety of the round, the entirety of the fight.
That's the pressure guy. That's David Benavidez in this situation. And for Caleb Plant to pull it off against this guy, he can't be that economic pure boxer looking to box from the outside. He's got to be that boxer puncher.
That guy who's not afraid to sit in the pocket and assert himself. Fight this guy off when he has to fight this guy off.
Because you can't spend the majority of the fight creating space between you and him. Eventually, he's going to catch up to you. You do that, you're going to lose.
You're going to get knocked out, my friend.
The caveat is, even if Caleb Plant makes the necessary adjustments to try and assert himself in spots against David Benavidez, I don't know that he has the durability.
He's a pure boxer most of the time you see him, and he's a pure boxer for a reason.
Caleb Plant marks up easy, and Caleb Plant ain't the biggest puncher either. It doesn't actually behoove Caleb to get into very many exchanges in the pocket. If he's a pure boxer, he's a pure boxer for a reason. He doesn't have the best gas tank either. Thus, going out there and being economic is all part of his persona as a pure boxer. If you make an alteration,
And you can.
it's not all just execution and strategy, implementation. Some bit of it boils down to the physicality and the durability of the fighter. And I don't trust that Caleb Plant is durable enough to pull this off.
If he does, then great.
He will shock the world and surprise us all, but I don't actually trust that Caleb Plant is durable enough to take what shots get in, and I don't trust his engine. I don't trust his gas tank. This is a guy that gasses out in fights that he's winning.
It's not that I'm high on David Benavidez. I'm not high on David Benavidez, but I know what he is. He's a pressure guy. He's going to push the pace, throw punches and bunches.
He's going to bring the fight to Caleb, and when he does, it's going to be up to Caleb to fight him off.
The adjustment that Caleb Plant has to make ahead of this fight is not dissimilar from the adjustment that Dimitri Bivol made ahead of the Zurdo Ramirez fight.
In the Zurdo Ramirez fight, you saw that Dimitri Bivol, who most of the time is a pure boxer, he tweaked things a little bit to where he was initiating the action. He was initiating the exchanges. In and out. He'd stun Zurdo Ramirez on the way in with some shots, force him onto his back foot, and get out of the pocket before Zurdo could bring something over.
He upped the tempo.
Dimitri did, because Dimitri's normally more economic than what he was in that particular fight with that particular fighter. That's the adjustment that he made, but Dimitri Bivol...
He's durable enough to make that adjustment.
And I've never known Dimitri Bivol to have the gas tank issues that Caleb Plant has exhibited in previous instances. Physically, he was able to make that adjustment to where he can execute it tactically. I'm not sure that Caleb can.
I'm not.
Often called boxing the sweet science, and applied sciences can make a difference, a big difference, but some bit of it really does boil down to physicality. What you can give and what you can take.
How long you can last.
It'd be pretty fucking funny if Caleb Plant, of all people, went out there and exposed the quote-unquote Mexican monster. But how much do you guys out there trust Caleb to do that?
Well, because he's got Breadman in his corner?
Breadwinner's not going to fight the fight for him, you know.
He's not.
And he can come up with the right strategy, but it's up to Caleb to successfully execute it. I don't know that he can.
If he does, then great. That'd be pretty fucking funny.
Soon enough, we'll get the answers to those questions and more when Caleb Plant shares the ring with his old buddy, David Benavidez. In men's cruiserweight news, the latest on newly crowned IBF champion Jay Opetaia, who secured a knockout legal blow in bitter contract dispute.
You know, I didn't even know Jay Opetaia was having these issues with Dean Lonergan till this news broke.
A Queensland world champion boxer has secured a major victory in a bitter legal stoush with a renowned fight promoter, with a court being told the contractual dispute could have resulted in his world title being stripped. Lawyers for Jay Opetaia, who claimed the International Boxing Federation cruiserweight world title on the Gold Coast last November, argued against an application by fight promoter Dean Lonergan to keep him locked into a contractual arrangement with his company.
It appears that Jay Opetaia, who still is this division's IBF champion moving forward, is a network and promotional free agent, free to go where he wants to go. He can go to No Limit Promotions.
They're the guys that promote Tim Tszyu and Nikita Tszyu's fights.
He can go to Matchroom. We know that Matchroom debuted in Australia last year. They have a good number of Australian fighters under their banner.
He can go where he wants. Mr. Opetaia secured the first major blow in the legal fight after a judge dismissed the application. application, effectively freeing him to pursue other contractual opportunities. We're excited to start the next chapter, Mr. Opetaia said outside court on Friday.
I'm sure that No Limit Promotions would love to have him.
And even Matchroom, to some extent, could find use for him.
They could.
We're happy to put this behind us and move forward. It's been pretty stressful. This next chapter is going to be huge. I just can't wait to kick it off. The court action was sparked when Mr. Opetaia attempted to leave his contract with Mr. Lonergan's company, D&L Events, after the latter lost its TV deal with Fox Sports. Mr. Lonergan, a well-known events promoter who promoted the massive 2017 bout between Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao.
Top Rank worked in tandem with Dean Lonergan to bring that fight to Australia and promote it.
And it was big. But you fast forward a couple of years and it appears that Dean has lost his deal with Fox Sports. No network deal, no network money. That might shed some light on why Jay Opetaia wants to go elsewhere.
There's money out there for him. There's money out there for an unbeaten cruiserweight champion.
He queried whether the dispute would not be resolved even if the injunction was granted. Brisbane Supreme Court was told Mr. Opetaia faced a dire risk of having his world title stripped. Lawyers for D&L Events told the court the application was only for relief, and both parties wanted a trial expeditiously. They said Mr. Opetaia had another 18 months left in his contract.
They tried to lock him in.
We hear about this stuff all the time. We heard about it more recently when it came to Joshua Buatsi and Matchroom, that he didn't want to be locked into Matchroom boxing on the DAZN platform. The difference here is that Dean Lonergan,
He ain't got a platform.
barrister Franco Corsaro, SC, acting for Mr. Opetaia, submitted there was no prima facie case to the injunction order being sought. He said there was no language of mandate in his client's agreement, telling the court it was not clear how many fights Mr. Opetaia was required to fight while under the contractual agreement. It simply doesn't work, he said of the contract. Justice Burns ultimately dismissed the application.
You can see what the problem here is. With Dean Lonergan not having Fox Sports behind him to bankroll Jay Opetaia's fights moving forward.
What exactly would be the point of staying with Dean Lonergan? That would just be one more hand in the cookie jar, because Jay would still need somebody else to bankroll his fights.
That would render Dean Lonergan little more than just a booking agent extracting a fee from Jay Opetaia's purses, and for what? You ain't got no broadcast deal.
If the contract is up, the contract is up, and he's going to go somewhere else, to someone that can bankroll his fight, someone that has a platform.
It's a tough business.
You ain't kidding. The injunction was to stop him from signing with someone else. Mr. Opetaia rose to prominence last year, defeating Latvian Benavidez in a brutal bout on the Gold Coast to seal his champion status. During the fight, Mr. Opetaia shattered his jaw so badly he couldn't speak after the victory. He is expected to defend his title in Melbourne next month. Renowned American boxing magazine The Ring has ranked Mr. Opetaia as the world's best active cruiserweight fighter.
And that he's returning to action as soon as next month. What that communicates to me is that the wheels have already been in motion behind the scenes for him to go somewhere else. I'm going to assume he might go to No Limit Promotions.
He's going somewhere. It's unfortunate for Dean Lonergan that he invested in this kid's career and got him to a world title only for him to go somewhere else, but
What the hell's Jay Opetaia supposed to do?
Dean Lonergan doesn't have a platform.
And the contract is up.
The usefulness of that partnership has, in effect, expired.